Hi everyone, this is Dana with Designs by Dana. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a 2-page layout using the brand new Fresh Paint paper packet and sticker sheet. Now I've already cut into this paper packet, so I have a full sheet of each of the patterns in the packet, but the packet does come with 2 of each one of these. So I wanted to just quickly walk through and show you what each of the patterns look like. This is each one of the patterns. Now this one I've already cut off the branding strip or the zip strip, so it's already cut off and missing, but this is one side and this would be the other side. I really like this paper because it reminds me of kind of the race track, the flag, you know, for racing and things like that. So that's kind of fun. This one is a really fun Sundance splatter pattern. And here we've got your branding strip, and on the other side you have the pattern zip strip, and then you've got this really cool like paint dripping pattern down. And then with this one you've got these really cool different colored paint splotches, and on the other side of your pattern or your product strip you have a really cool triangle zip strip, and then all of these different colored hearts. So this one's a little bit busy on both sides, so this would be a pattern that you might want to trim down and just use in small amounts. And finally we have the sticker sheet. Now this sticker sheet comes with a lot of cool little trendy sayings, and you know, the mixtape and the pizza, the wings, the butterfly, the rainbow, tennis shoes, and a lot of really cool sayings together. Oh yeah, wow, here and now, you've got this, and then some really fun ones down here that make great little subtitles for your layouts as well. So we're gonna see what we might be able to incorporate from the sticker sheet as well. So as we get started, I'm going to pull in my pictures that I'm going to use for this layout. So I've already trimmed them down to the size that I want to use. And I think I want to use kind of a straight across linear pattern for that. So I brought in my Make It From Your Heart pattern book to help me design my layout. And this is Make It From Your Heart Volume 3. And this is the pattern that I chose to start with. And what I'm going to show you today is how you can start with a sketch and then turn it into your own design. So this is where we're going to start. I'm just going to pull this page out of the book so I can refer back to it. And then we'll get the rest of the book out of the way. So let me bring in my papers and patterns, and then we'll get started. So I have my 2 white base pages here, which is what I'm going to use for my base. And then I'm going to have my photos laid out similar to this, like the sketch had. But what I want to do first is put some visual texture on my white paper. So we're going to move these photos out of the way, and I'm going to bring in what I call as my paint box. This box is one that I use when I'm going to get a little messy, and it's just a close to my heart shipping box. And we're going to use some of the close to my heart media gloss sprays, and I'm actually going to use the cheddar, but I brought in my fuchsia as well to show you, because when you use these you want to shake them up really well. And if you notice, as I'm shaking this cheddar up, there's no sound. Normally when you shake it, you should hear the ball inside rattle in there, so it's mixing up very well. And for some reason, this one that I have, I don't know if the ball isn't in there or what happened to it, but it still works. So I'm fine with that. So what I'm going to do, if you remember, our sketch has a lot of blank space down here at the bottom of the layout. So I want to put some pattern or some kind of visual texture and design down there. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put my paper in here, and I'm just going to spritz it with my gloss spray. And so this will be the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of angle Actually, I'm kind of gonna do it sideways, or maybe turn it this way so I don't get any out of the box onto my table there. And just kind of give it some spritz like that. And this dries pretty quick, so as I take it out and lay it aside, I can go ahead and bring in my other piece, do the same thing, and it will dry really quickly. And that looks perfect. So let me get this box out of the way, and then we'll get started assembling our page. Okay, so I've brought in my 2 Versamatch, which I really love to use when working with 12 by 12 layouts. And I've gotten my base pages tacked down just so everything stays in place. And I've pre-cut most of my pieces. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of lay things out how I think I want them to look here. And I'm gonna kind of overlay some of this and get an idea of how this is going to look as I put it together. I like to tuck things under rather than butt them up too much, if possible. So this is kind of what my vision will look like. And then I've cut my photo mats at 3 1/4 by 5. Actually, the photos are 3 1/4 by 5, so my mats are 3 3/8 by 5 1/8. And they're gonna sit right in the center of this border. And I thought I might do some little banner pieces sticking out of there. And let's go ahead and bring in our pieces for the other side as well, because everything's gonna line up straight across. And like I said, this is that real busy paper, and you can see we're just tucking that under. So we're getting some of that color to pop out, but it's not so much that it's going to distract from the actual design of the layout. And I do like that. So I can get some pop of color, but not too terribly busy. And I've cut a photo mat and then a piece for my journaling and perhaps a couple of tags up here, and I got some scraps to play with if I need to add some more. So this is kind of my start of the vision based on the simple sketch. You'll notice that the sketch does have everything started at the very top, and I brought mine down just a little bit, so we're going to modify. That's kind of our first modification. So we're going to get this glued down, and then we'll start kind of building it up and making it my own from there. Okay, so I've got that glued down. And the next thing I did is I pulled out several of my thin cuts, and I just used several different ones that seem to be appealing to me. And these are some of the ones that I used. I've got circles, ovals, some brackets, and different things like that. And then I looked through my stamp sets for some fun little sentiments to use, and I found this one in my stash, which is called My Game. It's pretty old, but it has lots of really cool sayings in here that I wanted to incorporate within this layout. Finish strong, no pain, no gain, things like that. So I kind of combined the two. And then I also pulled in one of my favorite staple stamp sets. So if you don't have this one, it's definitely one that I recommend having in your inventory. It's Perfectly Imperfect Patterns. So I incorporated several of these, this one, this one, this one, and this one throughout these designs. And what I did is I just cut a bunch of the pieces And you see I have some blank ones here for extras in case I needed them. And then off camera, I just cut several little pieces that I thought I might like to use for this layout. So I have Champion, No Pain, No Gain, Attitude is Everything, Finish Strong, and I have 2 Attitudes is Everything because I wasn't quite sure where I would want to use them. So Finish Strong, actually, I want to rearrange these photos here because these are triathlon pictures, and with the triathlon, you swim, you bike, and then you run. So I thought that I would cover up some of this little photo branding watermark with the Finish Strong there, and that would look really good. And then Attitude is Everything I thought would go on this side. No Pain, No Gain, I'm thinking I might tuck up under here. And then Champion, I could tuck in up here at the top and have a little bit of a visual triangle there. So that's what we're gonna do with those. So I'm gonna trim some of these down because they don't really want to tuck under all the way. So we'll get those out of the way. And I might not have room. I don't think I'm gonna have room to tuck that in up there and still be on the layout. So I might have to come down and tuck it under the photo, which will be just fine. And this one can tuck under here. And just trim some of that off. Now here I've got some tags that I want to do. I think I'll need to get those down first. So I'm gonna just dovetail these out. When I have a pattern like this, it's the visual kind of messes with my mind. So I like to turn it over so that that visual doesn't kind of play games with me before I dovetail it out. And I usually just eyeball my dovetails. Some people will cut up the center and then cut it out and do it like this. But you still have to eyeball the center. So unless you're gonna measure it real exact, either way you're kind of eyeballing. So whatever works for you, as you know, just do what's comfortable. And you'll notice I've got this kind of white on white, and that's definitely not something that is appealing to me. So I brought in my little sponge, and I'm just going to add a little ink distressing around these pieces so I don't have that plain white on white. And I do like to ink with my sponges just because I like the way that it looks. And since I'm doing that piece, I figure I might as well do this one too because I'll have that consistency carrying through. And I might as well go ahead and do this piece as well. So we'll get that on there. And then that'll kind of wrap up this little section here. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna put my little black border on here so it doesn't matter too much how much it's tucked under. Let's see, I'm gonna use my spatula and just see if I can tuck it under a little bit. There we go. Okay, and that just kind of acts like a little embellishment of its own right there. So that's perfect. Now I need to, let me go ahead and glue this piece down so that'll kind of, actually I might have to pull that down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that wraps it up nicely. Now to glue these down, I like to use my liquid glue, and I find it's easiest just to take my glue and bring it right across the line here, as opposed to trying to glue it on that tiny strip of paper. And then I can just put the paper down and it lines up perfectly. So that's my little secret if you glue tiny strips of paper like this. And that just little bit of pop of black really separates the color from the white. So let's get these photos on here. I'm gonna kind of center them where I want them to be. I think about like that looks pretty good. The other reason I like the order of these photos, and it worked out well, is you'll notice in this photo he's kind of looking inwards, and this one he's looking this way towards the audience, but it seems like he's running this way. So I like the way the orientation of the photos works out well for this layout also. So that's another consideration when thinking about how you're laying out your photos and your design elements. Okay, and now, since I'm not going to tuck that under there, I'm going to go ahead and glue this top part down. And this is what I love about working on my Versamat, is I can turn it around and it doesn't make all my pieces fly away. Everything sticks right there together. So let's get that liquid glue back out, and I'll just bring that little glue line right down here. And put that on there. Now this one I am kind of butting it right next to that. Oops. You can see it's got just a little time to slide around. But I'm butting it right up next to that Sundance paper. And that just, you can see the difference in how nicely that fits together. And then we'll tuck this up under here. Oh, let's get a little black on there. Don't want to have that white on white again. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now we'll come over here to this side and put some of those pieces together as well. So I've got some little tags to go under this photo. So I guess we will get our little strip on the top of here. I know that the black is the same on both sides, but sometimes with your cutter, you get a smoother edge. So I am looking for that. So I make sure I use the side that I want to use as I put that down. and that goes just perfect. Okay, now I can put my pictures down. A little bit about these photos. My son did his first triathlon just last weekend, I believe it was. And of course, these are the photos. And what I did down here for my journaling, because I don't see my son very often, is these are all pictures I got to pull off of Facebook. And so what I did for the journaling is I just pulled his Facebook post, and that is going to represent my journaling. So I'll just read that to you here real quick. So it says, finished my first triathlon and had a great time. 15-meter swim, 34 minutes and 4 seconds. Transition time, 3 minutes and 59 seconds. 24-mile bike, 1 hour, 31 minutes and 21 seconds. Transition was 1 minute and 32 seconds. 6.2 mile run was 1 hour, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. I guess they're pretty precise on this stuff. And then total time was 3 hours, 13 minutes and 36 seconds. He says, goal today was to finish with hopes to be under 4 hours. Big goal was to be at 3 hours and 30 minutes. I said I would be ecstatic if I finished at 3 hours and 20 minutes. Came in at 3 hours and 13 minutes. Super happy with the results. Definitely areas of nutrition and training to improve. I'll do a few more races this year to improve on my time, but really the training starts for next year's race. A half Ironman and then a full Ironman in 2024. So he is really got some goals that he's set for himself. And you can see up here in the top right are pictures of him with my 2 grandsons. And I certainly don't mind if you tell me how cute they are, because they are my pride and joy, of course. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these pieces dovetailed out and inked up real quick. I'm pretty impressed that he's become such an athlete because, well, he's always been athletic in school, but that's one thing I am not. So good for him for sticking with it, right? Let's go ahead and do these pieces as well. Here we go. I'm gonna hold off on that one because I think I'm gonna use this one. Okay. So I also, as I looked through my stamps for this project, I thought that I really needed something with a bicycle. So I found something that we'll try to add here with a bicycle, which is why I used this larger sentiment here. And then I also want to come back to my sentiments for the all the little endurance and sports sentiments. So finish strong is going to go here. I know I want to pop that up, so I'm going to go ahead and do that while I'm thinking of it. So as I looked at this set, I saw the endurance, dedication, and perseverance. And I really wanted to use those, but I didn't want to make too many of these little brackets. So I went ahead and mounted them. And I think it's going to be easier if I turn this around to do the stamping. And I'm going to stamp them across the top. I think I might even take this off for now and then put it back down. So I'm going to use black ink, and this is just regular black. It's not intense black because I don't need to color in or anything. So if I'm just doing regular black, no need to use the intense. So I'm just going to stamp these right along this top border. And I'm going to do every other word. So I've got dedication, perseverance, and endurance. We got all of that stamping done across the top. I really like how that turned out. I've got my tags put on. I went ahead and did some more stamping off camera. I stamped this star and cut it out using the included thin cut with that stamp set. And I went ahead and stamped this bicycle out of this It's Your Day Constant Campaign. So with the bicycle, I stamped it in red. I'm going to hold that up a little closer so you can see it. I stamped it in red, and then I took my black journaling pen and just colored over the tires so that the tires would be black. And I was really happy with how that turned out. So we are ready to put those on. And I also had pre-cut my title for this. And what I did is I used that really busy paper pattern that I talked about, that, you know, you want to use it in moderation, and I cut my title with that and popped it behind the black, and I really like how that turned out as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this star over here to just kind of anchor down my title right there. So we'll go ahead and glue the star down flat, and I'm going to pop that title up with just some thin foam tape. So that's why my star is going to be flat. I'm going to let it overlap my photo here too, so it kind of ties everything together and everything's kind of anchored down, and then everything pulls together and nothing's out floating all by itself. This foam tape off here. I did use the liquid glue to put down each individual letter on the front of the title for the triathlon. So you can see those are all individually glued down. And then I'm just going to kind of try and get that as straight as I can across there. And yep, I think that looks good. And I went back and forth. I decided to go back to the smaller Attitude Is Everything. So I got rid of the big one, and I'm going to put the smaller one here and then use that kind of as an anchor piece for my bicycle also. And of course, he chose to do the bicycle in red because his bicycle is in red, and I thought that tied in very well. So this piece is popped up with the thin foam tape, and then the bicycle is being popped up with the thick. So it's giving that extra layer of dimension. So there is the majority of the layout. So the final thing that I have to do is add some 3D embellishments. So here I have the acrylic shapes, which is the VIP offer special right now. And then this is the acrylic shapes for the fresh paint packet. So I think that I might be able to incorporate a little bit of each on this layout. And I picked this one because it does have the Sundance items. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of room to dump everything out here. So I'm going to dump a few out at a time and pick some out that I think might work and try to sort through them. I really like the stars is mainly what I'm shooting for, unless I see something that just really jumps out at me. But these shapes are just awesome. There's so many different shapes in this packet. There's a cute little arrow. If you're a VIP and you haven't gotten these yet, you might want to think about grabbing some up because they will last you a very long time and you can make so many different projects with them. So I think that's about what I'm going to get out of there that I want to use. So let me get these out of the way. Okay, and I'd like to incorporate some of the fresh paint items as well, since this is a fresh paint layout. So let's see what we've got here that we can incorporate. They've got some really fun things here as well. Mostly here, I think the blue will tie in. So again, we've got some hearts, some circles, some stars. The red flame, I don't know if that would look good there behind the bicycle or not. We'll think about that. A skateboard. Some more arrows, which I like. I love arrows and stars. It's kind of right up my alley. And I like the different sizes of stars, so that gives me some good stuff to work with. I'm not gonna do, I don't think I really want any white because I've got so much white on my page already. The red could work too. This one's got inside and outside stars, or arrows. Maybe a couple of red stars also. Actually, I think I like the black, which will pop nicely. The happy face, I don't know, I think that's just maybe a little too juvenile for him since he is so grown up. I say that with sarcasm. Okay, let me get these out of the way. And let's play with what we got and see if we need anything more. So I've got my glue dots here, and we'll just kind of play around and see if we can make some clusters with our current clusters and things that we've got going on. So I think that I definitely want something here. Popping out of that. I think an arrow there towards the attitude is everything would look good. Just not sure I want the red. I think that looks a little bit better. Notice that when I use my glue dots, I'm not touching the glue dot with my skin. I'm simply putting the glue dot on, or the acrylic shape onto the glue dot, and then pulling it up so that I'm not actually touching it. And let's see if I can get that. Yep, that'll fit on there. It was still fitting on the page. This dot here is double, so I could pop that out. I'm going to get to smaller micro dot for this one. Thinking I want something over here in my journaling spot. And I'm just going to kind of disperse these other items just in some little cluster areas around the layout. Well, something up there. And I think that's probably really all I need. Get these out of the way. Take a final look. And as I'm looking at it, I feel like I need some more stamping on the layout. So I'm just kind of looking here at these stamp sets that I've pulled out. And I feel like maybe some small stars, the small little star would look good. So I'm just going to pull out, I know it's a large block, but I'm going to use this one here and add just a couple more little black heart or black stars throughout. Just for a little more visual texture. Actually, I think that's perfect. Didn't need much, just a little. And now I'm happy. Okay. Let's take one final look. Okay, here's our final layout. I'm quite happy with the turnout. I want to bring back in our sketch and show you how the original sketch looks and how we've kind of spiced it up with our embellishments, our title, and different things that we've added to it. So having a sketch is definitely a great thing to use as a jumping off point, and that was very helpful in today's layout. Let me hold some of this up a little closer so you can see some of the different elements on the layout. This would also be a good time to ask you, if you've liked today's layout, to please hit that like and subscribe button, and perhaps leave me a comment or two if you've enjoyed this. And over here we have our bicycle that we fussy cut out and added the black wheels to it, the journaling from Facebook, and then the border that we did across the top. I hope you enjoyed that today. I appreciate your time and watching, and we will see you next time.